wine-filled seas lies Crete, a wealthy country surrounded by water, unmistakable, made out of 90 states and countless people. When Homer sang these verses in the 9th century BC, Greece paid little attention to Crete. Homer, like other poets of that period, thought that Crete was just doing fine. In reality, it was extremely wealthy. Its fleet was dominating the Aegean, and its economy was prosperous. The rest of Greece, however, ignored the fact that its mainland was, in all actuality, literally controlled by Crete. Greece also ignored the fact that about 1,000 years before the Trojan War, Crete had blossomed into one of the most influential civilizations of the world. When Homer described the Golden Century, he perhaps had the legendary Crete in mind. In his descriptions, people were more refined and sophisticated than their descendants were. Crete is Greece's largest island, and its geography merits more than just a mention. The island is located in the mid-Mediterranean Sea, bordering 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. It stretches over 260 kilometers long, 60 kilometers wide, and encompasses a total area of 8,261 square kilometers. It has a population of 500,000 people that are of Mediterranean type. Most of the inhabitants occupy 4 main urban centers: Iraklia, Chania, Rethymno, and Agios Nikolaos. All city folks and villagers preserve the traditional customs of the island. In the countryside, one can meet aged male Cretans wearing their traditional costume, characterized by their headbands and breeches. Women, however, do not wear their traditional frocks because they are so heavily embroidered and decorated that they are impractical for everyday wear. Like most Greeks, family ties are very strong, but even more so in Crete, as it is with their hospitality. They are true Mediterraneans, known for their unbowed spirit and their love for freedom and independence. Many beautiful and tall mountains surround Crete. The mountain range Ivy, also known as Psiloritis, as well as the White Mountain Range, reach 2,500 meters in height. Their tops are always snow-capped till late April or May, although the island lies in the subtropics. Another characteristic of the Cretan landscape is the numerous canyons and ravines that separate the island vertically, north to south. Most of these ravines begin to flow from the mountaintops and end up by the island's shores. Crete's lace-like shores, complete with its capes and beaches, are extremely picturesque. The southern beaches, resplendent with their virgin beauty, display enchantment that attract nature lovers to a lifelong relationship with the island. On the northern coast, the beaches are the ideal place for holidays, especially for those interested in swimming and water sports. emitting the aura of the Venetian 16th or 17th century, is the city of Chania. It was founded on the location where the ancient settlements of Kydonia lay. During antiquity, Kydonia competed with other large cities, Knossos and Gortyna. The Venetians conquered the city in 1252. In 1537, the infamous pirate Barbarossa set fire to the city. Subsequently, the Venetians sent San Michele, the best engineer of his time, to construct a great fort. Nevertheless, in 1645, the Turks conquered Chania after 55 days of siege. In 1898, the city was proclaimed the capital of the autonomous Cretan state. As of 1913, when Crete was incorporated into Greece, Chania became a contemporary Greek city. To enjoy the city's magic, one should begin sightseeing from a cross-shaped shopping centre, built in early 1990. This shopping centre is found in the centre of the city, where Zanakaki Street begins. On Zanakaki Street, most travel agencies, banks and other public offices can be seen. Near the centre lies the Chalepa Quarter, which is one of the most magical areas in the city. Haladon Street is just as magical because it leads to the Old City and the Venetian port. As one strolls through the many shops, one discovers the Isonian Cathedral. Trimatri, the statue of Theogoras, the patriarch, lies nearby. From the northwest part of the city emerge the vaults of the Turkish baths. Immediately across from the bath lies the city's archaeological museum, which is housed in the restored Venetian temple of St. Franciscus. Haladon Street ends at the port, which is crowded with busy stores, cafes, taverns and nightclubs, all housed in the old Turkish and Venetian buildings. A large seawall protects the port. At its midpoint, one can see the ruins of an ancient fort and the Venetian lighthouse, true jewels of the port's history. In the eastern part of the port, one can admire the 15th and 16th century Venetian dockyards that are very well restored and maintained. A stroll in the old city is a fantastic opportunity for the visitor to romanticize, reminisce, and take photographs.
The Archaeological Museum in Chania is housed in a beautifully restored Catholic Church of St. Franciscus. On exhibition are findings from either Chania or the western part of Crete. They stem from a period that ranges from the Neolithic to the Roman era. The visitor is stunned by the caskets dated back to the post-Minoan period, the vessels and the pots from the geometric period, the superb Hellenic and Roman statues, and finally, the exquisite mosaic floors.
In the northwestern part of Chania lies a peninsula that protects the Bay of Suda from strong winds. There, at the top of Profiti hillside, one can find the graves of Eleftherios Venizelos, as well as his son, Sophocles. Eleftherios Venizelos, who came from Chania, was one of the most influential Greek politicians of the 20th century. It is worth mentioning that under his government, the country managed to double in size. It was his own wish to be buried on this hillside. The grave, which is impressively simple, lies within an area of panoramic beauty. Lying at the foot of the orange tree groves and the olive trees at the foot of Mount Tobomulus lies the Monastery of the Holy Trinity, approximately 14 kilometers away from Chania. It was built in the 17th century by the descendants of the Chagorolan family, Venetian monks that converted to Orthodoxy. In the center of the premises lies a cross-shaped church with a superb dome that is dedicated to the Holy Trinity. There are also two chapels dedicated to the grace of Zodocho Pigin and Aios Ioannis, the theologians. The front of the church is decorated with Doric pillars, displaying intense Venetian influences. The steeple was built in 1864. The monastery also functioned as an ecclesiastic school during the 19th century. On a picturesque bay on the shores of the Libyan Sea is Horas Fakim. The area was never under anyone's control, and for this reason it is greatly glorified. The inhabitants of this location are well known for their unbowed spirit, a characteristic that's allowed them to maintain their independence for centuries. While under Venetian and Turkish rule, the residents were horrible pirates, a true menace to the conquerors. They are, however, also known for their hospitality to visitors, their traditional cuisine, and for the phenomenon termed vendetta. It is a fort built by the Venetians towards the end of the 14th century to protect the area from the pirates and local rebels. Under Turkish captivity, it held little military value. The Turks first used the fort in 1770 in a sea battle against the fleet of Admiral Orlov, who arrived in Crete to help the Greek nation. The last important battle that took place in the fort was in 1828, when Greek troops, led by Hadimikalis Dalianis, fought against the very powerful Mustafa Pasha. The breathtaking and untouched beauty that southern Crete possesses can be marveled on one's journey to the Prevli monastery. The road one follows on the journey splits. The left road leads to a gorgeous beach named Amuzi and meets the estuary of a small river. Both its shores are covered in palm trees. Buried deep within this grove is the church of Ayusabas. Following the road to the right, one will encounter a monastery. The ground here is very bumpy and irregular, which is why the monastery has many floors built on different levels. The lower levels served as stables and storage areas to which animals were led from higher level buildings. The abbots and the monks' quarters were housed at higher levels. In the 19th century, a new cathedral was built to replace the one the monks tore down. The monastery itself was constructed in the 14th century. It was named after the Prevely family that contributed to its construction. Next to the fountain, there is an old domed building that hosts a museum, where one can admire marvellous icons from the post-Byzantine era, ecclesiastic pots and habits, a Bible, and many gifts donated by pilgrims. The city has been inhabited since Neolithic period. It charms the visitor with its individuality and traditions. The old city, built around the Fortezza fort, has maintained its noble and graceful look over the years. In its centre, one can admire the picturesque Venetian-style port that is surrounded by superb mansions, churches, mosques and numerous parks. In 1573, the Venetians built the impressive Fortezza fort because they appreciated the island's strategic location. The fort was built on the location where the Temple of Artemis stood in antiquity. Nowadays, there is a theatre inside the fort that seats 1,000 people. Public buildings were built inside the castle, as well as the commander's quarters, the state prison, and the ammunition dumps. St. Nicholas Cathedral, built in 1583, was converted to a mosque dedicated to the Sultan Ibrahim when Crete was under Turkish domination. The old city, built on the slopes of Fortezza, is magical, with its narrow streets and old Turkish and Venetian buildings.
The museum in Rethymnon is found opposite the fort, housed in a building that once served as a Turkish prison. The stone-made construction exhibits findings that date back to the Minoan, the Classical, the Hellenistic, and the Roman periods. It is indeed the most beautiful museum in Crete. The artifacts are exhibited in such a way that the visitors can appreciate their historical and cultural value.
The Festos Palace is the second most important example reflecting the Minoan era. According to the legend, it was here that Rhadamanthys, Zeus's son, ruled. Italian archaeologists began its excavation in 1900. The palace's architecture and floor plans betray its Minoan origins, and it is just as magnificent as the one in Knossos. The central buildings are built along a perimeter of a rectangular yard. On the left side of the palace, one can see the western courtyard. It contained a theatre for the festivities and ritual sacrifices. The entrance to the palace was through a monumental staircase that led to the main entrance, Propylion. Behind this entrance, one can find the main courtyard and storage areas. The royal quarters were situated at the northern section of the complex. The southern section included a water reservoir for purgatorial ceremonies, as well as many workshops. Many researchers believe that the main courtyard was the location where the Minoan purgatorial ceremonies took place, the Vargathapsia. Many murals have been discovered in Knossos that display such ceremonies. Cortina is a city in southern Crete, in the center of the Meseras Valley. During the first pre-Christian millennium, Cortina was once one of the most influential states. Its history is interwoven with mythology. According to legend, Europe, one of Zeus's lovers, gave birth to the famous Minoa and his brother, Rhadamanthus. Minoa was the founder of Cortina. The perimeter of the ancient settlement was roughly 10 kilometers. The Odeum is the best preserved building that was excavated. Built in the northern part of the marketplace, it was used in many different ways throughout the centuries. Initially, it was used for musical and theatrical performances, and in later years as a gathering place for civilians. Across the Odeum, there were marble plates with the public laws engraved on them, so that everyone could read them. This constitutes the oldest known surviving European set laws, having been written during the 5th century BC. The laws referred to women's social and civil rights, divorce settlements, adoption cases, etc. Of all the marvelously preserved findings, a 7th century AD church stands out. It is dedicated to the Apostle Titus, who along with the Apostle Paul, co-founded the first Christian church in Crete. It's one of the most historical churches in Greece. It is one of the most impressive and famous monasteries in Crete. Its original fort was built during the 14th century AD. According to legend, it was founded by a monk named Arcadius. The main temple was constructed in 1587 and is dedicated to Metamorphosis. Its architecture is a combination of Venetian and Gothic styles that incorporate Renaissance elements too. During the Turkish domination, many rebels sought refuge in the monastery. The Turks often oppressed the monks because they knew they aided the revolution by supplying food and ammunition to the resistance. Due to its strategic location, it became the center of all 1866 revolutionary activities. The monastery was ferociously protected, not only by soldiers of the revolution, but also by civilians. It was guarded day and night when Mustafa Pasha and his 15,000 soldiers attacked it. the conquerors outnumbered the rebels and took over the monastery. In an act of bravery, the Greeks detonated its ammunition dump, killing not only themselves but also thousands of Turks. This is why the monastery remains a symbol of independence for Crete. Many Greek and international tourists visit the area every year, attracted by its history. It is a cave found on the Ely mountain range. Situated on the eastern slope, 1,540 meters above sea level. The cave is claimed to be the birthplace of Zeus. According to Greek mythology, Zeus was the son of Cronus and Rhea. The oracle had forewarned Cronus that he was going to be overthrown by one of his children. Thus he ate all of them, right upon their birth. When Rhea delivered her sixth child, she gave Cronus a wrapped rock to swallow, and she hid the baby inside a cave. That child was Zeus. The entrance of the cave was guarded by huge giants named the Cretes, who would bang their swords on a shield so as to conceal the newborn's crying. Two nymphs, Aras and Idea, fed the baby with milk from the Amalthea goat. Excavations over the years have revealed many ancient objects such as weapons, statues, objects made of gold and ivory, and pottery. All findings indicate that the cave was used for rituals thousands of years ago.
The El Greco Museum is situated 26 kilometers from Iraklio in an area named the Fodere. The museum is located in the house of the great Greek painter Dominikos Theotokopoulos, widely known as El Greco. The painter was born in Crete in 1541 and was the greatest representative of the Cretan school of hagiography. He became widely known in Spain, where he lived most of his life. The museum that contains copies of his masterpieces is surrounded by orange groves.
Iraklio. It is Crete's biggest city, with a population that exceeds 100,000 people. The port has functioned in the same location since the ancient Roman and Byzantine times. At the port's entrance, one can see the ruins from the ancient fort that protected the city from the numerous conquerors, Arabs, Venetians and Turks. There is an adjacent smaller port of Venetian style, suitable for small boats and yachts. The most influential conquerors were the Venetians, which is reflected in the urban design of the area. There are still many gorgeous buildings constructed by the Venetians that decorate the city. The most spectacular temple is that of St. Minas. The contemporary city is famous for its cultural life. The enchanting local music as well as intense nightlife attracts a plethora of tourists every year.
Με μια λαχτάρα στην καρδιά για εκείνο που δεν είδα. Πάλι παράδεισο το λένε κι άλλοι το λένε πατρίδα. Βρήκα δυο μάτια να αγαπώ, παρέα για να αγαπήνω, φίλους για να τσακώνομαι κι ό,τι έχω να τους δίνω. Ηράκλειο Καλαμάτα και βύσσινο γλυκό, να με ρωτάς τα μάτα τι ψάχνω για να βρω, τι ψάχνω για να βρω. Όπως λένε και οι πιο παλιοί και δίκιο να έχουν μοιάζει, πέτρα που θέλει να κυλάει ποτέ δεν χορταριάζει. Και το ξερό κεφάλι μου μυαλό ποτέ δεν βάζει, όσο τα πόδια μου βαστούν στο δρόμο θα με βγάζει. Ηράκλειο Καλαμάτα και βύσσινο γλυκό, να με ρωτάς στα μάτα τι ψάχνω για να βρω, τι ψάχνω για να βρω. Ηράκλειο Καλαμάτα και βύσσινο γλυκό, να με ρωτάς στα μάτα τι ψάχνω για να βρω, τι ψάχνω για να βρω, τι ψάχνω για να βρω.
The Archaeological Museum in Iraklio is one of Greece's most prominent ones because of the large collection of exhibits from the Minoan period. The rooms are arranged perfectly, and the collection of exhibits covers all periods chronologically, from the Neolithic to the Roman period. There is huge and very rare pottery, as well as exquisite and fine works from marble and precious metals. There are also cooking utensils, weapons, and fine jewellery. The top floor displays the famous murals from the Palace of Knossos. On this floor, all the findings displayed the beauty of the ancient Greek art, in particular from the geometric, archaic, and classical periods. The temple was built in 1555 and was restored during the 17th century. One can only marvel at the 13th and 14th century frescoes, as well as an immaculate collection of Byzantine icons. 6 of these icons were crafted by the famous hagiographer Michail Damaskinos, who worked in Crete, the Ionian Islands, and Venice. These icons belong to the Vrodisios monastery and thereafter to St. Mina's Church. The collection also includes many Christian heirlooms that originate from Crete and Russia.
This city was the very center of the Minoan civilization from the early 12th to 15th century BC. Excavations have revealed the largest palace of the Minoan era was built to replace an early one that burnt down in 1700 BC. territory populated by over 100,000 people surrounded the palace. This territory encompassed over 10,000 square kilometers of beautiful land. A visit to the ancient city begins with its western wings. In the middle of the paved courtyards there are several ditches, the remains of what used to be the palace's water supply. Upon crossing Pompey's corridor, we arrive at the Pillar Gallery, a room adorned by gorgeous murals. In earlier times, the adjacent staircase led to the lower floor, an area accessible only to noblemen. To the east, we see the southern entrance, which is decorated with a replica of the mural that portrays the prince with the lilies. The original mural is exhibited at the Archaeological Museum of Heraclion. Near this entrance, there had been a reception building for the guests and a spa for travellers. The southern gate leads to the main courtyard, which once vibrated with life and motion. It was an area for public gatherings. According to Evans, the palace had 3 main wings. The western part hosted the throne room, named as such because of the oversized throne carved from a wall made of alabaster. The sanctuary had faced the palace with its centre decorated with holy horns. Behind the sanctuary, on its northern side, were kept the sacred chest that was filled with valuables. This is where the famous statue of the deity with the snakes was discovered. Behind the paved courtyard in the same wing, there were 2 underground vaults. They both had a pillar in their centres, with many engravings of the Minoan symbol, a double axe. Researchers believe that the pillars symbolized the deity they had worshipped. The western wing also held the storage rooms, where subsequent excavations revealed 18 pots for wheat storage. The western wing housed the royal quarters. One corridor leads to a very comfortable room named the Double Axe Room. Behind this room one finds the principal area of the palace, where the throne is carved. The side corridor leads to the Queen's quarters that are decorated with gorgeous murals portraying dolphins. The original murals are displayed at Heraclion's Archaeological Museum. The northwestern part of the palace contained a water reservoir for ritual baths, a theatre, and a paved street that led to the palace.
Chersonissos is 25 kilometers from Iraklio, heading towards Agios Nikolaos. On the far end of Chersonissos, Koutoulou, a very picturesque village, can be admired. It is without a doubt a tourist haven. During weekends and holidays, many people, both locals and tourists, gather in the village. The attraction is that here one can savor original Cretan food and customs. For visitors, it is the opportunity to see how the Greeks enjoyed themselves. On the near end of Chersonissos is the center of the island's nightlife. In no other place in Greece will you find such interesting and intensive nightlife as you will here. The variety of entertaining facilities is unbelievable. There is a plethora of restaurants and nightclubs, all situated by the shore, which creates a very romantic atmosphere. The entertainment goes on until the early morning hours. Malia is near Chersonissos. This is another town that has a variety of entertaining facilities. It provides the younger crowds with a small waterland many water sports, and bungee jumping.
It is undoubtedly Crete's most picturesque city. Built in the background of Mirabilus Bay, it is one of the most well-known tourist destinations in Greece. In ancient times, the city was named Lato. Its port was not developed until the Roman and early Byzantine periods. A fort named Mirabella was constructed when it was under Venetian rule. The name of the city is taken from the small church of the saint of the same name that is filled with icons from the 8th, 10th and 11th century. The centre of the city is Eleutheria Square, but the seaside road that crosses the channel is a true tourist heaven. The area is filled with Crete's most popular taverns as well as gift shops.